Julie here with Sirius Dallas Moon. This is Moon Hour, Moon Night, Moon 12 degrees Taurus, and the ascendant is with Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter in the fifth house, 19 degrees, and the midheaven in the 29 degrees, also ruled by this Jupiter. So, I said a lot of things that sound extreme to people, but hey, those are extreme times. And I talked about the sexual sovereignty and currency. I want to elaborate a little bit. People think that they can cheat their way into sovereignty without sexual sovereignty. That's a no go. Okay? That's simply a no go. Without sexual sovereignty, people just don't have sovereignty. The entire project of MK Ultra and anything from Genghis Khan, from anybody that fumbled with anything psychological, um, going to the core of identity and shaping identity, they use sexual boundary violation to create associations and to affect the identities of people. Regaining sexual sovereignty is regaining sovereignty. There's no two way about it. Palestinian can watermelon all they want. Either they have sexual sovereignty or they don't have sovereignty. Israel had halfway sovereignty to the level that people regained their sexual sovereignty, which means it had a lot of imagined sovereignty. There was a list of corporations under a certain symbol or certain flag with a lot of cult-like organizations and a lot of freedom as well. Okay, a lot of good things as well. But people think they can cheat their way out of nuclear holocaust without sexual sovereignty, without tending to sexual sovereignty, without going in the direction of sexual sovereignty. And no, I don't talk about controlled type of delays around that. There is nothing. No currency will save anybody. No rank will save anybody. No blood type or bloodline will save anybody. In fact, for bloodline to work, you need sexual sovereignty because it activates Mars, and the blood is a part of what it activates. Yeah, people can bifurcate from sexual addiction to erectile dysfunction without that, and on vagina people, they just go yeasty and other problems without that. And again, people can't cheat their way to sovereignty without that. Very simply put. And this is also a time where a lot of people begin to reconnect. If I go to the Uranus square Pluto, a lot of people begin to reconnect with those very tendencies. And then they noticed what is trying to interfere with the organism, okay? And so it's not going to be about approximations. It's not going to be about drugs, sex, and rock and roll. It's going to be about embodiment, tantric embodiment. How should I say that without saying the word purity? Because purity is Puritanism, which is an approximation. It's not at all the thing. Healthy nervous system. Aligned nervous system. Okay, all the big words. They just have, not just in words, but in practice and in spirit and in matter. This has to be there. And the currency is not about the globalism or Nexit or Brexit or Palestinians, okay? But from Davos, so it's not going to be about any of that, because all of those are approximations. Any currency which ritual entails violation of sexual sovereignty, whether it's in infants, whether it's in adults, whatever, is a no-go. Won't avoid nuclear holocaust or gassy explosions, or thinking about it. Googleplex people, targeted individuals, going through torture, beginning to develop chaotic passages of ESP, hacking into nervous systems, activating those. Okay, what did you think was going to happen? And on the other hand, even tending to dystopic authentically creates a passage that, however chaotic, um, is aligning with something that actually can hold water. And so, and with Saturn, that will reingress Aries, like we're not going to be able to be in the approximation. In fact, those approximations dissolve with all the intelligences and structures, visible and invisible, that are set around them on a global scale. And those things that are not aligned with that, okay, either people set the intention to align with that, but if they didn't even set the intention, or somehow fell into that, because this is chaos. So some people are just going to suddenly have that, like, ooh, that's sweet, I want that, and that's blessed. Like if it happens for you, that's blessed. But this is where a lot of people are going to, either align with that in the process, or it's going to be really messy and not in a sexy way, not even in an approximately sexy way, and all the control endeavors won't won't hold in that one. Talking about the Pearl Harbor type of a month. So of course there are going to be a lot of people who are going to want to hold to a lot of power, and people becoming aligned with having both the lower chakras happy and the upper chakras happy and the heart happy, is just is a byproduct of that. Okay, and this is where, even you think about it, even if a person is going to a certain route, okay. For example, people try to take persons to a certain route, the same. They go into either helplessness or something, and they hold on. Even in the MK where they put people to torture, then you hold on to something. And then, of course, they say the person is a whore, a cheater, this or that. No, fuck that. But then they say that person begins to do a ritual with children. Okay? Or something that sets off that trajectory. And again, with certain levels of dumb fuckery, people didn't even have that. And that's okay, and that's normal. Because it's the breaking free and breaking through from those timelines that are simply archaic and no longer hold. They're not going to hold the energies. They're not going to hold even the attempts to build CERN. They only created more and more access to sovereignty with people by the attempt of trying to basically oppress them. Okay, what happened in COVID? People stayed house. They did not work for the corporation. They opened a business. What happened? Illuminati in the mailbox. Oh, fuck that. That looks like spam. Then a targeted individual. Oh, fuck that. What do we do now? Call Archangel Michael. Okay, but aren't those funding those things? Like, cool, Archangel Michael. Yay. But what about my sexual sovereignty? Well, there is the love of God. Fantastic. Lower chakras need to be aligned. Need to have soil. Okay, then you build this in the soil, within half moon is in the soil. Then you come to find out, okay, that there's something else going on there. Oh, maybe you'll be with the white hats. What's the white hats? Oh, it's another part of MK Ultra. Okay, but can't MK Ultra be all about like stuff that is actually benefic and is, but the wealth that is actually wealthy, oh wait, they wanted to harvest the energy of the people, so people are way more wealthy. Like you have Rockefellers walking in every, because all of these charts, they like haven't tapped into it. Why they haven't tapped into it? Because people want to take their power to have more power, but doesn't that put them in way more assassination threats? Yes, it does. In fact, when people use psychiatry against people, that creates susceptibility for a person to think that they will have less problems and less torture when they assassinate someone. Whether it's true or not, they will try everything. So that is okay. And this is how the scales goes and goes and goes. And people say, well, if I'm gonna die, let's at least speak. Let's have my sushi, let's this, let's that. And it takes basically people to places where they become even more sovereign, they express themselves even more. And this is how people actually create not just wealth for themselves, but also love that is actually loving because they're being themselves. And on a sexual level, we talk about sexual sovereignty, on a psychic level and a physical level. People are beginning to come to this I like, this I don't like. Wait, why was this thing coming up? Is this even mine? Is that programmed? Is that trauma-based? No, I want the sexuality of what it would be like without trauma. What would my sexuality be like if I did not go through trauma? I want to enjoy the actual good life, not the trauma repetition good life. Thanks, Annika Lucas, for the trauma repetition one. And then there are senses of liberation. You know, it's kind of like when a person is craving all kind of junk food, then they eat an actual good meal. It's like, oh, chocolate is a superfood? Yeah, when it's well manufactured and you have it with like a coconut oil or something, it's actually nourishing. And so a lot of people are going through those phases. And everything that relied on people not being aligned or people being put in a state of trauma begins to not just collapse, but go through megalithic collapse. Mars rules sovereignty, Mars rules blood, Mars rules sex. Can't have blood health, hematology, or that thing down there going well without sexual sovereignty in spirit and in matter. What happened after I was psychically abused and tortured and raped? It's like, you know, and then people don't say anything because the person being raped got yeasty, had to remineralize. That costs money. Or where's that coming from? Well, you're either going to look at it from an actual perspective, or you're going to just have to not ask me questions if you don't want answers that are true and authentic. Fibromyalgia is yet another physical manifestation of trauma. And all those that rely on stealing energies and trajectories of people, the rituals that they do is basically also rape rituals, unfortunately. It's kind of like, you know, just logically, a person takes a person and has a certain trajectory. They say, oh, this person, they could be wealthy, they could be this, they could be that. Let's take their future. Fantastic. Now, once you do the ritual of taking their future, basically what is happening is that you're taking upon yourself a future where somebody has their future being taken from them. Now, for your benefit, that person better retrieve their destiny. And when that's being done, people feel like they're falling apart. Nike, Enki. Sky that punishes the land loses the mandate of the heaven. But when that happens, basically many Googleplex people begin to hear about those type of practices, which was completely not just science fiction, but like, I grew up in a house where we didn't believe in evil eye, because it's kind of like my parents would always say to people, I wish you the same as you wish me. And if a person would lose their melanin, even if they're white, they would become more white. We'd see that they are triggered by that. And so that's the house I grew up. We set it at that. But then I became an academic researcher, wrote about ESP, wrote about the body-mind question a fraction of a second before COVID, and for a spare time I did astrology. And so, not enough of that, I said, let's do something that is actually applied medicine, which I can see what the hypothesis of my thesis is actually accumulating to, and I learned aromatherapy. And so, yeah. And then I began to dig half moons in the ground because there was a water problem or something. I have no idea. I mean, water problem, sexual sovereignty. I said what I said.